We are now talking to David Banks, the actor who's well known for his portrayal as the Cyberleader in such stories as The Five Doctors, Attack of the Cybermen and Earthshock. David, I'd like to start off by asking you, you've been actively involved with this book that's coming out on the history of the Cybermen. I understand it's supposed to be coming out last October and it's now been delayed. Can you tell us the reason for that, please?
Well, I've tried to explain. It's a bit complicated. It's a bit cruel, I think, to say that it was due out last year, although it's very true. It's a very big project, and the Who Dares publishing company is quite a small company, and I think also the Doctor Who merchandise arena is one that's not been too sure of itself in the past year or two. Undoubtedly because of the postponement of the series and the uncertainty, the sacking of Colin Baker. I think people have been sapped a bit of their obsession, their fanatical interest in Doctor Who. And that obviously has a rebound effect on the number of books you can sell, the number of calendars and art cards and so on. Cybermen, to me, are a fascinating subject. And what's interested me most of all, I think, is to be able to tackle them on several different levels. I think you get a certain proportion of fans who are interested just in the celebrity side, in the technical side of making the programs, and who has made them, what they've done before, and so on, how costumes are made. And that's dealt with in one section of the book. But you get another set of fans, and that's my interest, really, the fan who has an academic interest in how Cybermen came to be, in their history, in their mythology. And I've tried to put together all 9 of the stories and make a history out of them. And I've tried to keep it as neutral as possible, not adding anything at all, but using only the facts that we get from the stories themselves. That was a fascinating time for me when I was working that out, and it's done, and I'd just love to see it published so that fans can come out to me and say, "No, you're totally wrong about that. The real history of the Cybermen is like this," and so we can have meaningful discussion about it.
Could you tell us a bit more about the 2 stories that you submitted to the BBC?
Yes, one, in fact, was set in the late 20th century on Antarctica, following up certain hints in the first story, 10th Planet, which was set in Antarctica as well. It had a massive liner in it, a passenger liner, with about 2,000 passengers, and I suspect that was a bit beyond the BBC's budget, so perhaps that's why it wasn't accepted. But I was able to adapt that for an interactive adventure story that I was asked to write by Seven House. In their series, Make Your Own Adventure with Doctor Who. Unfortunately, that folded after the first series of stories, for some reason. I don't quite know why. And so that is shelved for the moment. I might make use of it in some other way, perhaps working with Andrew Scaletta, who's the publisher and the artist for the book. The other story was set in Crete. That was my first attempt, because I thought, as well as being the Cyberleader and being the writer, it'd also be nice if the whole cast could go to Crete on location. So that was probably another reason why the BBC turned it down. And that is a kind of reworking of the Minotaur myth, of the half-man, half-beast. I thought there was a particular irony in the fact that Cybermen have what could be called horns. And if you look at the early, let me put this right, in Crete, ancient Crete, the Minotaur legend arose round about the 13th century BC. And what remains of it is the double-headed axe symbol, which looks very much like the horns of a bull, or, if looked at another way, very much like the head of a Cyberman. And I made use of that in a particular way. So I don't know if I can say any more about that.
Now you've had the chance to view the 9 stories objectively for the book. Which would you say was the era in which the Cybermen both developed story-wise and in terms of their conception?
Developed in the most fruitful way, perhaps?
Yes.
Well, I think obviously the 10th planet established the Cybermen, and as something alien, and yet because they bore such a close resemblance to us, because we could see ourselves in them, because their faces were covered with cloth rather than encased in metal, you have a chilling feeling of kinship, of the road down which humans could go. So I think that establishment of the Cybermen by Kit Pedler was very affecting. It established Cybermen as a mirror image of ourselves, a warning, as in the best science fiction, of the way not to go. I have seen the future and it doesn't work. After that, really Moonbase is a repeat of 10th Planet story, using Cybermen as the outside, the enemy, attacking a small group of Earth people. And I don't think it really developed the idea of Cybermen to any extent. With Tomb of the Cybermen, which no longer exists on video, people who are interested in knowing what it was about either have got to read the novelization, which isn't as accurate, or have got to listen to the audio tapes, which are available, and which are very interesting to hear, especially for Troughton's performance. I think there's a beautiful little scene between Troughton and Victoria. She's just been orphaned and taken away from her home. She's come along with the doctor, and this is, I think, her first adventure away. And he's telling her that nobody is as privileged as we are, we time travelers traveling in the TARDIS. We can go anywhere, we can do anything. Don't be sad, Victoria. You know, you can be happy that you're with us. And it's a very affecting scene. So I'm going off the point here. But in Tomb of the Cybermen, I think there you get another explosion of a development of interest with the cyber controller. You have the idea very much in the story of a bee colony. You've got the pyramid of the hives. You've got a Cyberman in each hive, and you've got the queen bee. I don't know if Michael Kilgareth would like being referred to as a queen bee, but I think he'll understand what I mean by that. Coming out of the center, and the bee is bigger. The cyber controller is bigger than the other Cybermen. He doesn't need the accoutrements at the front, and he hasn't got the handlebars at the top. So that is a development of the ethos of Cybermen being like bees, almost workers without individual thought. They do everything for the good of the race. So you get the development of this idea of Cybermen wanting to survive and conquer. Those are the two main motivating powers that they have to survive and conquer. And going on from there, I think revenge I would dismiss largely from an intellectual content, if we can be so grand about it as that. And I think Earthshock really was the next big departure. There were one or two interesting ideas in Wheel in Space. For example, Cybermen growing organically in an egg type thing. But they were never fully developed, I think. With Earthshock, you get, suddenly, you see the full power and might of the cyber empire. It's established itself and proliferated through the empire. It's strong enough to come and attack Earth again. In the previous stories, they've tried so many times, they've given up, they've gone away, and now, many centuries in the future, they've come back and they think they're going to win. And you have a real interesting exchange of dialogue between the Doctor and the Cyberleader in that. And that establishes the fact that the Cybermen, however far they've moved forward, are always at root, at base, their folk memory is always human. So when the Doctor talks about smelling a flower, losing that ability, losing the ability to enjoy a good meal, the Cyberman dismisses that. But I think at base, knows what it was, has a kind of echo of what it was to be human and what is lost. And that introduces a very interesting element, I think. We come to an end there, I think, with Earthshock. But somebody will take it up again, take up the idea, and we'll continue to have an interesting development of the cyber myth.